biggest strength in numbers, and Bruce and Arnold were very aware that this will probably never happen again.
Every one of them is a movie star by himself. Everyone is an action movie star. And you put all of them together and the relationship between all of them, it makes an event, and an event is something that the audience likes to see.
It's a one-off, kind of a culmination in a blending of all these careers, and then to throw Chuck Norris in the mix and of course Jean-Claude. The enticement was that it's never going to happen again.
Movies are like music in a lot of ways. When you hear a great song that you love, you remember exactly where you were. It's the same way with movies. I remember seeing a Chuck Norris commercial for Good Guys Wear Black. And he did this ultimate kick right through the front window of this car while it was rolling. And it blew me away, like, this is ridiculous.
You roll into a set knowing that, you know, well, these are the scenes we're shooting today, and I'm gonna be on film with 5 of the biggest action stars in the last 20 years. It's not really intimidating because they're very kind of down-to-earth guys and regular guys, but it's definitely surreal.
I remember where I was, what theater I went to, who I was in love with, and it was a real surreal experience.
And I could see Schwarzenegger kind of looking at Stallone and Stallone kind of looking at Willis and all of us in the same tent. And it was just kind of one of those surreal moments. You're like, I cannot believe we're all standing here. This is remarkable. And I think it was remarkable for them as well. Consummate professionals. They showed up and they showed why they've been at the top of this game for as long as they have.
There's a thing where you're like, oh man, this is like amazing. But then there's another thing, there's a switch that says, they brought me here for a reason. I gotta bring it. Not only do I have to bring it, you remember all those movies and you remember all those moments, and then you have to say, I gotta be that good. I have to come up to that level.
I think it really lends itself to an epic action piece. I've not seen this before. As a lover of action pictures, I was like an audience member watching this, not a producer. I was in awe watching the monitors.
What Mr. Stallone is trying to do is feeding every character. He has to feed them like a big family. They have lots of names here. I mean, so you have to feed them on an equal way. It's like the padre of a family, of a table of movie stars get to feed them equally, and they're all gonna shine somewhere.
To make it a cohesive piece of writing, it's a lot of rewriting. It's a lot of experimentation. What looks good on Monday looks terrible on Tuesday. So the main thing was, every time they're on camera, it's got to count. It really has to count, so they have to really own that moment.
It was a luxury, really, having him there as a writer, because I could always turn to him as we were shooting and say, we need to fix this, or we need to expand this scene, or we need to have another great punchline here, because, you know, in an action movie, everything's changing all the time.
Oh, God. Arnold's getting into that car, smart car, and the visual. When you're sitting in your trailer, you don't think about it. When you're actually on the set, his shoe is bigger than his car. You know what? Say that. So the mere fact that he says that line,
your shoe is bigger than this car.
All of a sudden, it's an Arnold-ism, yet it wasn't on the page. So you have to be able to create stuff in the moment. All these little things to just maximize their time on screen.
The most difficult thing, I think, about Expendables 2 was getting all these actors' schedules to overlap, because they've all got separate careers, they all live in different countries, and just to get them all on the set at the same time was one of the hardest things.
You've got about 10 or 11 characters. Each of them need their moment. The audience is paid hard cash for that moment, and you have to know when to pull the trigger, when to pull back, and then you only have them sometimes 4 days, 5 days. You have to slip them in where it's an inconvenient time.
There were some occasions where I couldn't get everybody together at the same time, and there are a couple of scenes where, particularly on the aeroplane, where I'm shooting in one direction, I'm shooting Sly and Jason talking to Jet Li and Dolph, and when I turn around to shoot the other way, it's in Hong Kong on a duplicate set 3 months later. But in the editing, you think they're in the same plane together.
Gang! Smile.
See you later, alligator. So bye.
That's real Chinese takeout.
I had to do that a couple of times, but most of the time I managed to get people together in the same scene, in the same frame, and I even made sure that they were in the same frame, because I figured if I've got Sly, Arnie and Bruce together, I'm not going to shoot singles, I'm going to shoot 3 shots, because it's so rare that they would ever be together like this in an action scene that I made sure not only were they in the same scene together, they were in the same frame together.
So it was incredibly difficult for myself and the director, Simon, to coordinate all that. Incredibly difficult.
Just the logistics of getting them in the same country, let alone on the same set together, was one of the biggest challenges.